episode 3, Dynasty Trades in 5. I'm Clay with Dynasty Pandemic.
Shane is the worst with Dynasty Trades HQ and also Dynasty Trades in 5.
Yeah, you're definitely the worst. I'm the better half of Mannequin Chill, Scott at Charles Chill FFB and Dynasty and Chill. Sammy D, I'm excited.
Yeah, talking about Sam Darnold. So QB5, which is just crazy. You know, he was seeing ghosts, and now here he is, QB5. So let's get going. What do you think, Scott? We'll start with you.
Well, I mean, definitely the sell window is open. The buy window is definitely shut. If you're trying to play, the game theory side of things, you had an opportunity to buy Sam Darnold for years. Had an opportunity to buy in the offseason. I mean, the Panthers kind of spoke to what their intent was with him, trading away a second-round pick. Could have drafted a quarterback. They picked in the top 10. They didn't. They picked up his fifth-year option. So all those things kind of pointed towards they're going to give him a legitimate shot. And then obviously he has a good system here to thrive in. And thus far, he has. I think it's a little fool's gold. I mean, we'll talk a little numbers here in a little bit. But, I mean, he's got 5 rushing touchdowns. If you take away his touchdowns, I mean, he's really not a rushing quarterback. Like, he's league average at very best. So I think that's inflated where he's currently at. But for me, he'd be a player that I'd be selling right now. But it's tough. It's tough in the midst of a season to sell a quarterback unless you are really dialed in on a strategy.
Well, here's the thing, though. So Sam Darnold most likely is your third quarterback, right? Or your fourth quarterback if you're playing Superflex well. If you're really good at it, like superior, he might be your fifth quarterback. Either way, he should be your third, fourth, or fifth. If he's your first or second anyway, you definitely can't trade him. You're just going to ride him out. There's a couple things, though. So I was just looking at his touchdown percentage thrown, and it's actually a little under the mark for his career. So even though he's going to lose some of those rushing touchdowns at some point, because I don't think he's going to run for, I'm not great with math, but I think he's on pace for like 16 rushing touchdowns, something like that. He probably won't hit that, but you'd expect that his throwing touchdowns should increase. So at least if it's a 6-point touchdown league, it shouldn't hurt you that much.
All right, Shane, we'll start with you. So I'm going to ring out a name here. Tua or Darnold?
Tua.
Scott?
Give me Darnold. Give me the more liquid asset. I think, unfortunately, the Tua market is pretty much crushed. I don't know if it's going to bounce back. So I would go Darnold.
Okay. What about Daniel Jones?
That's tough. That's tough. That is tough. I think they're both in the same boat. I think they're both having good seasons. They're buying themselves another year. I'd probably go Darnold just because I think there's a better shot that he's less threatened next year than Daniel Jones, but they've both been really good so far.
So let me ask you this. If you're going to tier down to Darnold, first off, you can say if you would even do that, but what kind of QBs would you tier down from to Darnold and not feel super gross doing it? I mean, you're not going to move from like a Dak to a Darnold. What's the lowest you'd go?
Well, that's the problem. When you tear down, it's a huge teardrop anyway. So, like, who are you tearing down from, like Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold? I'd feel fine about that. But I don't know if someone would actually look at it as a tear down. Someone might actually look like I should be paying more. I should give them Kirk Cousins plus for Sam Darnold. He's kind of in that weird spot where I'm not even sure who you could tear down from. Who do you think, Scott?
I think if you tier down, the tier down move is you're going down to a tier where basically there's no job security. So I think what you have to do is you basically have to get the full freight price for Darnold, whether that's, let's just say it's a first and a third. And then you also have to get Jimmy Garoppolo on top of it. Something like that to where I have a live bullet next year to maybe have a starter. That's the type of move you have to make. And that's only if he's your QB 3 or 4, like Shane said, or QB 5. I mean, you're not doing that if he's your QB 2. It's hard to tear down when you're looking at like QB 15 through 20 because you don't want to go any further down.
I got one for you. You got Russell Wilson. Someone offers you Sam Darnold and let's see. I know you hate running backs, but let's say a decent running back, Chris Carson type, maybe an RB2 type. Someone offers you, you're going to still take Russ.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's probably at the lower end of QB1s to me because of inconsistency and, well, he's not as good as some of the elite quarterbacks.
Now, if you can go up to Burrow, Lawrence, Russell Wilson, anywhere in that range, like I'm doing that, I'm willing to add a first value or a starting player somewhere else to do that. I think that's the type of deal you'd probably have to explore specifically with the owner, though. It's going to be really hard to do that on most deals or in most leagues.
Yeah, before the NFL draft, I was able to trade Darnold for Tom Brady and a 23 first. That felt like a win. That's for sure.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And TB12 was my QB3 in that league. So I'll take it.
So there's one real quick before we wrap up. Sam Darnold or Tom Brady? Straight up.
Darnold.
Clay?
Darnold. Yeah. Because he's 74 years younger.
He is, but Tom Brady is immortal. And I've stopped assuming that he's ever going to retire. I just assume he'll play till at least 50.